Hello traders, today is Sunday, August 25th, 2024. I'm going to go over 14 different names and let's get into it. Anyways, this is not financial advice. This content is for educational purposes. I strongly suggest you do some due diligence and research before you invest your capital in any equities or any type of investments. That being said, let's start with Ally. I was talking about Ally last week, I think in the beginning of last week, and what I was seeing was this the beginning of this move based on the MACD and the TSI behavior. One thing that I continue to like is you had a small retest or a flag right here, and now you're mounting the 35 SMA. I do believe that this name, considering what we're seeing on the MACD and the TSI, has more to give, more momentum. There is low liquidity on this area right here. It might be a name. I was saying I was gonna get into Ally, but then I got in some other names and I never did. And also the way I like to trade, when I see this type of red or maybe lack of momentum here or weakness on these areas, I'd rather stay away. And I'm okay by being paranoid and missing this type of moves. I mean, on Friday you were up 4%. If you actually got options on any of these areas, you would have been in a pretty good position. I personally, the way I like to trade, I like to see a nicer continuation of the move. However, this setup is still very nice. The TSI is looking really good and I like that. The RSI is not oversold. The MACD and the histogram is looking pretty good if I zoom in here. So I do like the fact that this can continue going up. There is definitely opportunity here and there is low liquidity here, which is also a good thing that might take you up to the 45 resistance level. That's what I have for Ally. And now let's move on to AMD, another name that I was mentioning last week. And I did make a little note here. I guess this is for myself, or I was gonna post this on X and I didn't. But anyways, this is a bullish Harami pattern, which is basically what you see when you have this type of setup with candles. This is on the daily chart. Let's go, and I'll erase this after I talk about it, but indicates a little bit of confusion, but it tells that the selling pressure is declining and the buyers are slowly taking control of the market, which looks a little bit like it. You have a small candle with a pretty decent volume. The MACD and the TSI are still continuing moving up. The histogram is not looking great. The RSI is also is pointing up again. So I wouldn't be surprised that to see a continuation back to 61. It's been a little bit stubborn, especially from last week. But I think, especially with NVIDIA earnings coming, I think there is definitely some sort of, I guess, indication if earnings for NVIDIA are good, AMD is probably going to continue going up. I don't think it's going to have a huge reaction. It normally doesn't do it. But I do believe that at least 61 should be your price target. But still keep an eye on this support level at 150, 151. You are right on the 35 SMA, but you're also not breaking the 200 SMA. You're crossing right here as well. You have a lot of indicators that might tell you to be cautious, but also are telling you that there might be an opportunity here to the upside. You have a pretty heavy volume shelf right here, right on the level. So keep all those factors in mind. Be very careful if you want to get into AMD for a short swing. I mean, if you are long term on AMD, I wouldn't be that worried. If you want to buy AMD today and maybe sell in a couple of quarters or maybe in a year or two, then that's a different approach. Let's take a look at the weekly candle chart. It's not looking that bad. It looks obviously pretty different and actually a little bit more enticing. So that's what I have for AMD. Just be careful between this area. I do believe, I could be completely wrong, considering that you have to go over the 200 SMA and you have a lot of volume in this area. But I do believe that you're going to hit 161. And as I said last week, once you get this level, at this level, just reconsider your position or just keep a very close eye. And I said this on Monday of last week or probably Sunday of last week, and we did hit 161 and then it got rejected and went back to 151. So we're on this $10 range. Just be careful here, and we'll see what happens next week. That's what I have for AMD. Now let's do Amazon. So with Amazon, I've been saying pretty much the same thing about Amazon that I did with AMD, considering that we have these levels right here. My initial price target, and I was in this position before, was 175. We did hit that that target, and then I got out. I'm not remember exactly what day I got out, but 175 was my initial price target, and at that point I felt comfortable. I did see a little bit of weakness, so it was probably on Friday. No, it wasn't Friday, but anyways, I got out of this position last week. And but what I was saying was you can hit probably 181 and then retest or reassess your position. It might retest and go back down to 175. It actually did that exact move. Now you have a dodgy candle here, which tells you that there is a little bit of neutrality or indecision on this move. The MACD and the TSI is still under the zero line. The RSI is pointing up. I think there might be an opportunity for a retest and moving up again towards 181. We'll see what we have next week. You also have as a point of resistance this indicator, the 35 SMA. So be careful with that as well. But I do believe that there might be an opportunity if we find some green in this area between tomorrow and Tuesday. For a position that might take you to what would be my next price target, which is 181. And then if you break, then 190 could be in the horizon. We'll see what's the behavior of the price target between 175 and the 35 SMA, and then you can maybe make a decision. But everything else is looking decent. I wouldn't say great, but it's looking decent. There is a little bit of indecision right now. That's what I have for Amazon. And let's move on to a name that I haven't mentioned in a while, and that is Cat. So, sorry, 50. Look at this. So it's flagging right here, and now you're in the process of going over this resistance level at 346. MACD and TSI don't look terrible. The RSI is looking good. It's almost right in the middle. I would say it's at 50. Yeah, it's not even at 60. And, sometimes I like this kind of names because, they move. They move consistently unless there is news or catalyst, right? What we saw in this area, but they normally move with consistency. I did have a position on Caterpillar, and I think it was back on this area right here. If I recall correctly, it was somewhere around here because it was ranging. So I did like Caterpillar in this area, even though a lot of people were saying in the beginning of, or by the end of June, that they were bearish. I did see a different telling, especially what you're seeing here on the TSI and the MACD. So I was a little bit of a contrarian, and I guess my thesis was correct. Anyways, now we saw this correction here, and now we're back up here. This looks really good. We might see a couple of more days of a continuation of this move, but keep in mind that, again, this name moves very, very slow. You have low liquidity here, so we'll see what happens this week. And the only thing that I would say right now is, like, if you like volatile moves and stocks, maybe this name is not for you. This tends to move very, very slow. Anyways, that's what I have for Caterpillar, and let's move on to, where am I? to Salesforce. So Salesforce, well, this is an interesting move. I was talking about Salesforce when we had this gap from earnings from the last quarter. My thesis was that, considering the product and why not, that this gap was gonna fill, and it did. I didn't have any positions because I think at the time I was on Shopify that had a similar gap, and I think was trading Roblox that also had a gap from earnings. In both of those cases, Shopify and Roblox, the gaps are also partially filled in the case of Shopify, and it filled completely, I believe, on Roblox. So those were very nice calls, I think. But anyways, this one also happened. Then you have, this pullback from August 5th, and then we're moving back. A lot of names, pretty much almost everything that I have on this list, had this V-shaped recovery from August 5th. And now we're flagging a little bit, and we're encountering resistance at 266. And you're also getting resistance from the 200 SMA. I think this is going to be a little bit challenging, but I think if we mount this level, and you will at the same time as you mount the 200 SMA, you're going to have a more consistent move to the upside. You have a volume shelf here, but it's not very pronounced. It could be a little bit of a concern, but I think this is going to continue moving slowly up once we mount the 266.5 level. And let's zoom out. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Yeah, it's just kissing it right here, So and the volume profile looks a little bit different, obviously, on the weekly chart. So I do believe that there is definitely opportunity. If I buy calls on this name, they would be probably December calls or maybe January. I would go that far out. And the reason why is because this moves is slow. Hey, we also have here, I didn't realize, on Wednesday we have earnings. So we'll see what happens here. You can actually have a complete collapse here if their earnings are not the best. But well, we'll see. We'll see what we have here. I do believe that if earnings are positive, then you're just going to continue moving very nicely, moving up very nicely. So yeah, that's what I have for CRM. And then let's go on with what do I have CRM before? We're going back. Normally I like to do this on alphabetical, but on my list I have CAVA right after. I know. Okay, let's do CAVA. Spectacular move on CAVA after earnings. You had, this is the only reason I'm going to tell you why I'm mentioning CAVA right now. It's up 20%. You have this gap, whatever. I do believe that there might be a lot of more enthusiasm coming in for CAVA in the next few days. I wouldn't be surprised if this continues going up. The only problem that I have with CAVA right now is a PE ratio of CAVA is 300 times, almost 300 times. That is not good. That means that this stock is way too expensive at this point. So if the market actually start catching up on that and they start shorting this name, I wouldn't be surprised, and you're going to see a pullback towards 95, or at least to cover this or to fill this gap at 105. You are at 122. This was absolutely insane. I was talking about CAVA right under, I think, on this doji candle, or on Sunday. So it was maybe on this candle. But anyways, I did say that it was gonna go cross a 95 level resistance and then probably continue going into all-time highs. This move was great for anybody who actually took it. Let's take a look at this. And is there price range? This is August 5th. It went in about 15 trading days, 75%. That is incredible. If you had calls in that area, you made pretty decent money. A lot of people in Twitter or X were actually calling CAVA to the long side, and they were absolutely right about it. I'm not saying that CAVA might continue going up. I'm just saying right now, just to be cautious, this type of moves sometimes bring surprises to into the opposite direction. You have very low liquidity here, which is also problematic. But again, I wouldn't be surprised, and a lot of people jump into CAVA because of these moves, and you have a continuation maybe towards 130 or so. But I think that this at one point is just gonna come down. How rapidly, I don't know that, but at least I would be conservative and say that you can go down to 105 and then maybe retest and continue going up, form some sort of support in this area and then continue up. MACD and TSI, needless to say, these are looking insane, extremely overextended, but and then the RSI, look at this, it's pretty crazy. It's at 83 right now. It's never, well, CAVA is not, it's kind of like a new stock in the market. But anyways, this is what you have for CAVA right now. Just be cautious. If you're gonna jump to the upside on CAVA, you're a degenerate, in my opinion. But you do what you want to do, what you gotta do. That's up to you. Let's do Disney now. Disney, I've been mentioning Disney more often now. There's a couple of things that let's go to the weekly chart. This doesn't look bad, but it's still more time. It needs more time. It needs more time on the weekly chart for the MACD and the TSI to curl a little bit towards the signal lines and then towards the zero lines. But for now, I think I like the fact that first off, it did bounce from support at 85. It went over resistance at 89, and now you're in the 90s. I think that would be optimal or great if you actually kind of like zigzag or getting in range between 88 or 89 and this line, which is a 35 SMA. I like the fact that it's still very under the zero line. I would love to see this getting choppy on this area and then get momentum and then continue going at 96. I'm not gonna lie, I would not mind buying calls for Disney right now, but I would wait, or I'm going to wait a few more days or maybe a few more weeks. Let's say days. Weeks is a little too far out, and just wait and see how we behave on the 90 range. How is the behavior at 91? And then, since we don't have a lot of volume here, I think that 96 could be reachable. At that point, when you get to 96, I would definitely reconsider my position and see if maybe I want to trim or just get out and then, move on to something else. So Disney is not looking bad. It's not looking great. It needs more time. That's what I think on Disney. Let's mention Disney. Where? Here. GOVX. So this is a name that I was talking about. The fact that it was moving this parabolic and then it was gonna collapse. I did say that last week. It kind of happened, but it's happening in a very risky way for anybody who decides to short this position. I use Webull. You cannot buy puts on Webull for GOVX, so you can only buy borrow stocks or shares and short this. Now the problem with this is that that the way it's moving, I do believe that this is going to continue going down unless there is some crazy news about vaccines for monkeypox or whatever. But I do believe that this is going to go back to these indicators right here. It's probably going to meet the 35 SMA first, but there is definitely a lot of room to the downside. This is extremely dangerous, I still believe, if you wanna short it. And I tell you why. You have this move right here. You also continue going here, and this was a pretty aggressive move that collapsed during the trading day. Then you had another green that was also down 20%, and then you had another move that was up almost 50%. That is what is dangerous. That you see this chart and then you get a candle that goes up 50%. Then you went down 12%, and the next day 12% again. I do believe again that this is going to continue going down. I wouldn't get in a position yet on the downside. I would wait for these indicators to actually look a little bit to look down or to curl towards the signal line. The TSI is already telling you that it's losing strength, so it's already on its way down. But again, be very, very cautious if you think it's a good idea to short this. Even though it's actually going down, I do believe it's a little bit premature. Just let this tell you a little bit more. And if the move to the downside leaves you behind, that's totally fine. This is an extremely risky proposition. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning GOVX right now. Let's move on to Robinhood. And look at this chart. I was trading Robinhood back in this area right here. And again, I like to trade on what I see on the TSI and the MACD compared to what I see on the chart. And the setup was really good. I did get in it. One thing that I was saying when I got into this was that there was not enough momentum. I didn't like these candles. So at this red candle, or this one right here on this hammer, I decided to go. I was done with it. My thinking was like, well, it's not breaking resistance at 1920. And I'm not sure if this is just gonna, or my proposition is not gonna get validated. So this could also, it's not a bulletproof idea. So I was like, well, this can continue going down and I don't want to risk my capital. So I just got out, and that's the way I trade. And the good thing about it, there is a good and bad, right? The good thing about it is most of the times I walk away green with an average between, I normally like to sell all my entire position at 50%. But I think on Robinhood, I walked away with like 28% or something like that. So it was pretty decent. Obviously, if I would have stayed, because it's where I believe October calls or something, you know, I would have gone way past 30%, way past 50% for sure. But again, I trade paranoid. I normally like to trade these kind of setups. And, you know, if the move leaves me behind, I'm completely fine with it. I'm not, you know, I'm not too worried about it. But what is bad about my trading style is also that I left this move behind, right? So this is probably more than 30% in addition to my 30%. So, and I have to be okay with that. Now, if you are more of a trader that takes more risks and let your runners run more than what I do, then you did fantastic on this call. You know, if you actually got in any of these candles right here, you did great. Anyways, so that was my position. I did play probably from this red candle to this candle right here. That was my whole thing. I was not comfortable with this resistance level, but then, you know, the next day, you know, this name continue going up. And now what I think is you're probably going to break this resistance level at 2120 with ease, in my opinion. You have more volume coming in. The histogram is looking good. These indicators look pretty healthy, at least for now. You are in the process of crossing the 35 SMA. I think if you break this, you're probably going to continue. You're in a good position to go towards 23. So I like Hood. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is, let's do Mara. And Mara is another name that I like. The only thing I hate about Mara is that it behaves reacts pretty heavily, as all you know, on what Bitcoin does. Anyways, the setup looks great. I don't have a position on Mara. I might get one depending on what Bitcoin does the rest of the day, today, Sunday, and probably depending on what I see between today and opening bell. What is Bitcoin doing? It's been green most of the weekend, and it's at 64. So that's a pretty good indication so far. Anyways, on Friday you were up 10%, almost 11%. This setup looks great, and I think what I said on a prior video, which was probably Wednesday video, was just be careful. This is one of those names that you really have to keep an eye and be quick on buying and selling. And the reason is because of, if you look at the chart, it's pretty volatile. And again, is the fact that Mara is kind of married to Bitcoin's behavior or ups and downs. I think if Bitcoin rallies, Mara is just going to go completely crazy. Your next resistance level is going to be these two indicators right at the same time you're hitting 1940. And then if Bitcoin rallies next week, forget about it. You're probably going to crash 22, 50 or 70 with no problems. So there is a lot of, I guess, promising indicators for Mara, as long as Bitcoin continues to move higher. You have a very decent volume shelf right here that you have to go through. So these three indications could be a little bit worrisome, but once you go up to this level, and if Bitcoin continues going up, you're moving. You're definitely moving. So this is a difficult and not easy name to trade, but again, if you're riding the Bitcoin wave, Mara is just is a good option within the risky crypto names. Now let's go to MSTR. Let's do MSTR. Let me take a note really fast. Okay, so MicroStrategy, I like it a lot. And so you have MACD, TSI, RSI looking really good. Volume is coming in. Look at this thing right here. That's looking great. You went up 12% on Friday. Just realize that you're in the process of crossing resistance, which I guess if you're closing here, you already crossed it. And you're also right on top of the 35 SMA. This is pretty good. You have a little bit of a volume resistance here, which I think this week, if this sector does well, you're just gonna move through it. I don't have a resistance level, and I would like to know why. Let's set one up, and I would use this as a resistance 174 for now. Well, that's only, yeah, that's the only point of reference that I have. Yeah, and we can move it back to this wick right here. So that is my, I like my lines to touch the wicks. Okay, sorry about that. It's my, okay. Yeah, this actually looks good. I do believe that you can easily go to 174, 170, 174, 74.50. That is pretty good. That setup looks great. So I would put this in my focus list, which I am actually going to do right now. So right now, yeah. And MSTR. So I have two names on my focus list, and I should double check the first one. Anyways, I'm putting this on my focus list for next week. It's looking good. I don't know what is the price on contracts on this. I will check later. But anyways, this is a great setup. I really like this. Let's move on to, we're gonna check a utilities company, and this is a great opportunity to the downside. So SO, Look at this. It's just looking is losing momentum. I did make a post, I think yesterday or the day before on SO on X, in which I'm explaining a little more in detail levels and indicators and whatnot. But if you take a look at the MACD, you are pretty extended, and you're also moving rapidly down towards the zero line. There is already a nice divergence forming here. And the same is going on with the TSI. The RSI is already on its way to a middle point, which is 50. Your support level is about to break, which is your support level is 85 or 86.40, give or take. I think this is going to continue going down. My next resistance level would be the 35 SMA. It's been kind of going with it a little bit. So this is what I have. I do think, sorry, I'm putting this on my focus list because this one is down, this one is up, and this one is up. I'm putting this on my focus list because so far, as far as what I'm seeing right now, looks like a no-brainer for me. We'll see what we get tomorrow. We'll see how the sector behaves tomorrow. But based upon what I'm seeing right now, today, this definitely has room to go down to the 83 level, 83 level. And if it breaks this, I mean, there is very little volume here. So 80 could be my price target actually for this. That's what I have for SO, which is Southern Company, or the Southern Company. It's a utilities company that I been looking in the last few days. This is the first time I mentioned this on a video, I believe. I could be wrong. Next, I'm gonna show you a name that was, if I could find it right here. So let's do STAF. So this name had a 150% day, you know, on Thursday. It went super crazy. Let's go down to the 5 minute and see what we find. And let's get rid of this. No, maybe not. So on Thursday, you had this incredible move, went all the way up to 465, and then it completely lost momentum, and then it got flat for a day or so. By the closing of Friday, it did have a little bit of a move, which went from 267 up to 309. Not bad. Anyways, let's go back to the one-day chart and zoom on this craziness. I didn't buy puts. I did short it, so I did borrow stocks against it. Now, I don't. I'm not suggesting you to do anything like this. The only reason I did this is because a couple of years back, I did open a very small account. I put $1,000 on an account, and no, actually, it wasn't $1,000. I did put $1,000 that I only wanted to use to short stocks, and what I did was I would go all in on parabolic moves like this, and short them, and then sell at 10%. So once I would hit 10% on profits, I would get out. And the reason why I would do that is because I knew that these names could spike up again, and then I didn't want to wait too much. So I just wanted to take advantage of the opposite reaction of a really powerful move like what we have seen last week on the STAF. I did pretty well. I turned those $1,000 that I was only using to that I guess strategy and I turned it into $2,000, and I thought it was great. But then what I did, I got very undisciplined, and all those, even though it was $1,000, everything that I did, I lost it in a couple of trades because I got, again, very out of discipline, and I got wrecked within that strategy, because I got in names that just continue going up, and I rapidly lost everything that I made. Now, even though it was $1,000, it wasn't a lot, and I didn't lose my principal because I only put $1,000. I made $1,000 and I lost $1,000. I decided not to do that anymore because how tempting it was for me to become irresponsible. So I decided not to do that anymore. Well, I'm back at doing or trying to do the same. So what I did, I believe what I bought was 100 and something shares. So I'm under $300. So this is a very small position. And my plan is to get out at 5%. So I'm gonna start doing this. I think I'm not gonna mention this kind of positions on my channel because I wanna test it again, and I wanna see how disciplined I can be and see if it works. But the thing is that normally what I do is find moves like this that have a very low liquidity, and then they get, let's take a look at this. So you are in the range of 200,000, less than $100,000, 100,000 shares or of volume per day, and then you get one day that you are up 76 million, I guess, in volume, and then the next day you are at 1.7 million. That tells me that the momentum is gone. You can see it right here on the volume. The whole momentum is gone. It's completely gone. So this is probably gonna come down and it's gonna crash really hard. I'm planning to get out at less than at 5%, no matter what. So that's what I'm planning to do, and then find the next parabolic move, which is probably some share stock, and start working that out just as something like that I'm doing on the side. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning this name. I'm doing this. I don't recommend doing this strategy, even though it did work out for me for a minute. It also took all my earnings pretty quickly. It probably took me about 2 to 3 months to go 100% on my earnings, meaning from 1,000 to 2,000, and it probably, I think I lost those profits within 2 weeks or so. It was really fast, and for that reason I just got out. And that being said, that's also why I'm just buying less than $300 on any of these positions from that I'm shorting, and then I'm just gonna go 5% and out on any of those moves. Well, that's it. Don't follow these trades, please. Do me that big favor. And last but not least, let's do Visa. Look at this. So you're flagging here. It looks actually better on the weekly chart. This looks pretty interesting to me. The MACD and the TSI are also looking really good. Not fully formed, but you want to break this channel right here with a little bit more of momentum. You have a doji candle right here. It's not the best candle you want to see. And if we go to the daily chart, you're also surfing this on red candles, and you couldn't break the 200 SMA. That could be a little bit concerning. So we'll see what happens here. You might actually go back into the channel and lose momentum. We'll see. For now, I'm just keeping an eye on this setup. I wouldn't be surprised and you go back inside of the channel, lose momentum. Looks like the MACD and the TSI are not looking great. The RSI is pointing down. So even though this chart as of I guess as of Tuesday look pretty good, it's not looking great. So at least for this name, I would give it a little more time. I would give it up to a week or so, unless you get a nice move sometime next week, tomorrow, or who knows. And then, this is going to look even more interesting, because on the weekly chart, again, it's not looking bad at all. Okay, friends, that's all I have for today. I went up to 40 minutes. That's crazy. Okay, I gotta go. Okay, guys, bye bye. Thank you.